Hi, I'm Kamimashita, and welcome to Shitsurei, the podcast where I rudely interrupt other creators' workflow. Today I have with me the Canipa effect. Hello.
Hi, you apparently have managed to rudely interrupt my workflow at like 9 p.m.
Yes.
Deep in the workday.
I say that I'm rudely interrupting your workflow, but I had to wake up at like 2 hours before I normally wake up for you. So I don't know who's being affected here.
Yeah. I mean, I go to bed in like an hour, so
Oh, okay. Okay, we're both making sacrifices then.
yeah.
So, if you're listening to this, you probably have heard of the Canipa effect. He has an amazing channel. It's more focused around the anime industry, but honestly, I kind of consider you to be like part journalist. I mean, you have done pieces for ANN, but would you say that's correct? That's apt?
There was a time when I was like, I am a video producer. Like, I didn't want to be YouTuber. I didn't want to be just editor because I also write things. Recently, I changed my Twitter bio to put anime video journalist because I thought,
Oh, okay.
that kind of fits. Also, most likely to get work if you call yourself a journalist. So yeah, for all intents and purposes, journalist. I saw a lot of people calling themselves journalists, even though they didn't do what I would strictly call journalism. So I thought, why not?
Why not just go full, you could call yourself an otaku gonzu journalist.
That is something I haven't heard in a long time.
I know, right?
Yeah, but sure.
But
Probably not the gonzo part of it, but yeah.
probably not. But so I would say that you occupy a very specific niche in the AniTube space. Would you say that's fair?
Yes, now I do. When I started, I was trying to copy Arcada, but now I feel like I'm a bit different.
That's like how a lot of people start, don't you think? Trying to copy like Arcada or Gigic or whoever.
Yeah.
Which is great,
Yeah, I loved Arcada's like really clean style. I liked how he was able to basically make this. This sounds mean, but he was able to make basically the same video about different shows. But like, I mean, that's a compliment in that it's such a concise, consistent style, and it felt so comfy to go into an Arcada video.
Like when you're watching a Glass Reflections video, like what you're gonna get. Like,
yeah, and so I was like, yeah, I can do that. I could do that. I didn't watch enough anime. Like, it's an insane amount of shows that he watches, but I couldn't watch enough anime, and I didn't really have much to say about stuff. What I was always really interested in is the part at the start where he like explains who made the show. Like, he was always saying, this is coming from Studio Bones, and I was like, ooh, who's that? and so I was like, in my videos, I was like, how about I like find out a bit about who those people are? And that ended up going like too far.
see, that's what I was about to ask, because I was wondering if when you started your channel, you always had a passion for anime industry stuff, or if you saw that, hey, no one's talking about this. This is like an easy space for me to move into, a kind of otherwise more calculating type of decision. Would you say it's maybe both, a combination? It sounds like you're leaning towards the earlier.
Yeah, it's I didn't always have a passion for it. I mean, I like anime because it's anime. I like that there's nothing like it at all. Nothing even close. Like I was into manga before I was into anime. Like, I got into anime properly because I was reading One Piece and Hunter x Hunter at the school library, and I was like, I want to see what like this looks like animated. And so what I'd do is I'd watch the anime during the day, and then at night I'd be on my phone reading manga. And then that would be how like I got through all of One Piece and Hunter x Hunter, and I think Naruto as well. Like, just speed running through these incredibly long shows, and the anime was just a better way to see the cool bits.
That's really funny, and that's how a lot of people like read and watch nowadays, I imagine.
Yeah. Because Shonen Jump is, I don't think there's much of an argument to say that it's the biggest thing globally right now. So, like, yeah, like having that combination of manga and anime and is kind of the way to go. But yeah, like, I think it was Gundam Build Fighters that really got me interested.
See, I was about to ask because you often joke about people not being able to place your accent. So you're half British and half Australian.
I mean, I'm kind of both. It's weird to say half because it implies that that only 50% of myself is this, only 50% of me is this.
You are correct.
Like,
you are correct.
I grew up in the UK, and then I moved to Australia. And then I ended up in Japan. So yeah, I have a valid Australian passport and a valid English passport. So I'm 200% of a human being.
Well, what I wanted to ask you is that you were mentioning these series that are, really popular. Like you said, they're in Shonen Jump. Do you think being raised in the UK, living in Australia, has affected? Are there any particular shows or manga that you picked up because of that are different than someone from like a more American perspective?
We did so. Adult Swim, Toonami, all of that stuff, totally over my head. Also, I missed just before I moved to Australia. I think they cancelled something, Toasted TV or something, Cheese TV, it's something like that, where it was that was where they did the Dragon Ball and all that. So
oh, it's like our version of Toonami.
Yeah, kinda. So I missed a lot of the big stuff, like the Dragon Balls and this anime fandom. I was mostly just video games. In some ways, you could say that I got into anime properly, 2011. So it wasn't really a child. Pokemon was the childhood thing. But of course, I didn't even think of it as an anime back then. It was just, this is an accompaniment to Pokemon Blue.
See, back then you were like, oh, I didn't even know this was an anime. I didn't think of it that way. And now you've got this big channel making all these videos about all these anime, and individual creators behind the different works. When did you kind of have that moment where you were like, oh man, this, I kind of made it? Or did you have that moment at all?
Or what do you mean by made it, popularity wise?
I suppose, or just the moment where you realized that this channel was a worthwhile endeavor. People are actually watching these and people really like my content.
I think it was after. So I made a video on Studio Madhouse called The Silent Fall of Studio Madhouse. It's got some issues with it now, but it's accidentally very good.
Okay.
It accidentally, and through the most, what I did is I went on ANN and I went on the encyclopedia pages and I found every single person who had ever worked for Studio Madhouse, and I then found each and every single one of them and found out when they started working for a studio that wasn't Studio Madhouse. And I found that you could basically say most of them stopped after 2010, which was the same time the founder left, and it was the same time the company was bought out by NTV. And an anime producer saw that video and was like, this is a really impressive amount of information for someone that is outside of the anime industry. And I'm now still friends with that producer here in Tokyo, and he set up an interview for me with Kenji Horikawa at Anime Expo. That was kind of the point when I'm walking around Anime Expo and people are recognizing me and I'm going to do this interview. It all felt like a big deal, and I was like, oh, I should continue doing this. People seem to know who I am and seem to like it. There was one kid. I was in line for something, and there was this really I mean, I'm 6'1". Everyone's small to me, but it was weird. It was hello, small child. Why do you like my videos?
That is really cool. That's a mind blowing moment. I'd imagine
he could have been 17.
Oh man, I had a question to ask. Oh, I was just about to say that is amazing. I have a tiny similar moment, which is basically a fraction of your moment, where no one recognized me, out and about or anything, but one of the English voice actors for Nausicaa commented recently on my video. It was the English voice actor for Youpi, and the comment was basically like, "Hey, nice video." I was like, "Oh, dude." So when you have more, your opinion matters more to me.
I know, like it is a weird feeling, right? Like, and it for me it kind of makes me jump away from my monitor. Like, I made a video about Legend of Korra, and then Studio Mia, like the Studio Mia YouTube channel, just said nice video on it. And it's like,
oh god,
what are you doing? Like, are you trying to freak me out? Like, yeah, I made a Gravity Rush video, and now I'm followed by like the character designer and director of Gravity Rush. And I'm like, you don't want these tweets.
But now, with all this in mind, if you being recognized by children out and about, and I don't know, I like to imagine
it
you
was
like
one child.
I like to imagine you're like flooded of autographs. No, Canipa, you are surrounded by paparazzi. Okay, that is my mental image.
Oh, this is funny. Like, I was a guest at Crunchyroll Expo, like the first year that they did it, and I wasn't actually like meant to be a guest. I was there to like moderate panels and like add to the content. But there was a bit of miscommunication, and I thought I was going to be a guest. And because I was like, okay, so when's my guest announcement and all this, I ended up getting like an autograph like
oh my god
panel thing. And it was weird. Like, I was right next to Caitlin Glass, and she had this massive line. And I'm impressed that I got as many people as I did, but it was a small line, and I'm not sure everyone knew who I was. But like,
I'm sure at that point people just line up at whatever, and they're just like, "Hey, maybe this will, maybe I'll find out who this is after I get to."
I think so. Yeah, there's like a couple of people.
I mean,
yeah.
at least people showed up, yeah. Because I remember a while back, Misty Cronexia made a really sad video where he was kind of reevaluating his position because he has like more than 1 million subs, but he had his own little meet and greet kind of thing, and barely anyone showed
don't
up.
do meet and greets. Do anime conventions where like people feel obliged. Do anime conventions where you're sitting at a desk really and you're looking really lonely, and then people will come up and pity
See, that's
you.
very valuable advice right there.
Yeah. I spent most of that time, once my tiny line was gone and I had to be there for the whole time, I just ended up talking to like the volunteers there, and they were like complaining about like, yeah, there's some problems at the con, like it's really bad, like this part was really badly organized, and I was like, yeah, that really sucks. I was like, yeah, I was just sitting there like listening to complaints from volunteers, and I was like, wish I could help you, but I actually did bring up some of their points to like some of the Crunchyroll.
Oh, there
people.
you go. Using your clout.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like meaningless because it was like the last day of the con. It's like there's no way you can change this. But
now the thing is, with all this in mind that we've been talking about, do you consider yourself like a big, quote unquote, big YouTuber now? Like you passed 100,000 a while back.
Oh yeah. It's weird because I feel like the standards change nowadays. Like the big channels are getting close to 1 million, or has Giga passed 1 million yet?
I don't think so. I mean that I think I would hear about that.
But I mean, he's making Kadokawa money and stuff. Like,
no, yeah.
Yeah, like once you get all of these big companies that are calling you up and desperate to like get you involved in something, then I feel like that's the big I made it thing. I feel like I'm still small. I can still make a video that 100% tanks. I think my last few videos were like really self-indulgent, like just things I wanted to cover, and by the standards of having over 100,000 subscribers, those tanked in views. And I think that's what matters. I felt like a popular YouTuber when I made 3 videos in a row that got over 100,000 views. But I know that there's other channels that consider that normal. So
it's like all relative kind of thing.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't feel like I'm a huge YouTuber. I feel like I am recognizable enough that I can comment on someone else's page and someone will go, oh, Canipa's here, love your vids. Or I reply to something on r/anime and go, and then they like argue with me and then put an edit at the bottom and go, oh, hi, Canipa. I was like, okay, cool.
So like the not very useful level of popularity. It's like
yeah, not at all. Like, I get some sponsor offers now but the sponsor offers are like, they don't like it when I make self-indulgent videos that don't get views.
Okay, I thought
So
you were about to. I thought you were about to say that you get sponsorship offers that are just like irrelevant. Because I just got one the other day, and it was like, "Hey, please market my tablet."
oh
And I was
yeah.
like, "What? Have you seen my channel? How do you want me to market your tablet?"
I got a tablet. It might be the same tablet.
Oh,
but
hey.
yeah, it's like they ask like, oh, here's a review. Can you review our tablet, and we'll give you an affiliate code or something. And I'm like, how the hell am I can't draw. What do you want me to do on this tablet? Like, there's another one, a really nice message from this cosplay company who's like, we will send you 2 home cosplays, anything you want, review them, and then we'll give you an affiliate code. And I'm like, that would be excellent if I ever posted images of myself. Like,
Hey, I was just watching your Mugen Train video the other day, and there's a little skit of you in there.
I did.
You
and
dressed up like Zenitsu and everything.
I wore a Zenitsu shirt. There's a clear difference. Yeah, that took me like 5 takes.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. This is getting a bit personal. I don't like the shape of my face when it talks.
Huh.
So
It's an interesting
yeah, I find it.
comment.
I know it's weird. It's really weird, and it's something I only worked out like fairly recently. I did this other podcast, and it was all on camera, and I found myself having this weird thought of I don't like my in between frames. Like I.
Oh no, that would be how you thought in real life. Just like,
Yeah, exactly. Like that. Like you can screen cap me because I paused and I was like, oh, that looks awful. Like what face am I doing? And so yeah, I ended up doing like 5 takes of that one line and then just choosing the one that I hated the least. Yeah, and my fiance actually came up with the idea to like zoom in on the Zenitsu t-shirt afterwards because she was like, no one will get the joke.
I mean, she is right because I did not.
She totally is right. Yeah, nobody gets the joke until you literally zoom in on the fact that I'm wearing a Zenitsu t-shirt.
Okay, to pivot a little bit. So you were always on my list to contact for this podcast. I love your content, and we have always had a really nice, cordial relationship. You know, I love talking to you.
Yeah.
But you know, I bumped you up in the queue because you made this recent tweet about your transition to full-time YouTube. Would you mind talking a little bit more about that?
That is the most complimentary way. That is the best way of putting it. The pivot to, what was it, transition to full-time YouTube. I lost my job. That's what happened.
I was about to ask about it, but I wanted to phrase it just a little differently.
I mean, I phrased it like I tweeted out, I'm a full-time YouTuber now, oh no. Because I was like, I need to like make a little bit of a joke about it. Then I got a bunch of comments going, congratulations. It's like, no. Congratulations isn't the response. I lost it. Do you really think that YouTube, like as it is with my infrequency of videos, do you think that pays better than having a full-time job where like I'm paid a decent salary? Like, but I think for a lot of people it's a dream, and I'm being glib about it. Like, it is gonna be fun for the time being, but yeah. So I was working full-time at a company called OdaQuest, which was able to exist because it had the backing of a huge music company called LDH Japan. And I'm not sure how much like I can say. I'm not sure how much there is to say. The money is no longer coming, so OdaQuest is gone. And I had a really fun time working there. And I was basically I was making anime and video games videos like 2 every week. It was a lot of fun, and it's not all that different to what I do on the Canipa effect. So functionally, for me, it's different.
So was your position basically just managing the OdaQuest in Japan?
Yes.
Like channel? Okay.
Yeah, that was my idea. We had like this OdaQuest YouTube channel, but it had got. I've got this view of YouTube where I don't like the subscriber number to be big while the view number is small. It's like you see it a lot with channels that you abandon a channel for a while and then you eventually get back into YouTubing and you've got this channel with thousands of subscribers, but nobody's getting it in their feeds anymore. So that channel was kind of infrequent at the start, because I think I was doing like social media stuff first. And so I was like, I want to make something new. I want there to be frequent videos. I want there to be a format that's easy to make videos out of. And so like I launched OdaQuest in Japan from scratch. I had so much freedom at OdaQuest. I mean, technically still, at time of recording, it's still July. So I'm still at OdaQuest for like 1 week. I'm enjoying it while it lasts. I would read through loads of interviews and gather a load of information and basically put it into short videos about Japanese games and anime. It actually gave me an excuse to like research for the Canipa effect on company time.
That's being efficient.
Because like I'd make a video. Yeah, like I'm working on in that time I got reincarnated as a slime video for the Canipa effect.
Two very different properties.
Yeah, I don't know why I started thinking what it was. Yeah, they're just too long titles. For OdaQuest, I made a video on slime so that I could research for the Canipa effect.
That's really funny. I really like that.
It also means that Canipa effect videos are now boring for anyone that watched OdaQuest. So.
Well, so you said that it was your idea in the first place to make this channel. What is your relation to OdaQuest in exactly? Did you see them and apply? Did they reach out to you? Are you like a higher up member that you're able to just have this idea and create it yourself? What was going on there?
I can't remember the exact timeline of it, but OdaQuest started a bit smaller in, it must have been 2017 or 18. And in a freelance capacity, I made a couple of videos for them. I enjoyed that a lot. And OdaQuest was expanding later on. And they were asking for a video producer. And it was weird because I'd made videos for them before. But I was like, are you like asking me? Is this an application? Like, do you want me to do this? Do you want me to apply to this? So I ended up applying. And then I got an email saying, hey, can you meet up with me like in Nakano? Okay, I was like, okay, let's meet up. And then my boss started just talking to me and like talking about all the things we're gonna do. And I was like, have I got the job? And it was like, yeah, of course. And it's like, you hadn't made that bit clear. Like, yeah.
We haven't had an interview yet. You haven't sent me a letter.
Like, yeah, I was like preparing for like a grilling. I was like, okay, interview, like, okay, what do I need to say, like, for this? I think one of the ways that I justified to my parents that I spent so much time making YouTube is that it would be a portfolio piece. Like, my YouTube stuff wouldn't make money, but it would explain to employers that I can make videos independently.
And here's one example of that happening exactly like that, huh?
Yeah. I actually used YouTube videos to get into my university course right out of high school. Like, they wanted like example videos that you'd made, and I was like, all I've got is my YouTube channel, so I put that in and got into a course. But yeah, so OdaQuest was like a way of me doing the Canipa effect, but for someone else. Kind of dream job in a way.
And just like every dream job, it couldn't last.
Yeah. But I think even if it didn't last, it's helpful to have that experience because
Definitely.
it could basically say I could work a real job, even though it didn't feel like a real job. I don't know what a real job. I mean, I worked in a library for my university.
Oh wow!
For me, that's the only idea I have of what a real job is. It's stacking shelves, is like, and scanning books when people come in. So yeah, everything since then has been like working from home, making videos about anime. So
now that you're, like I said before, transitioning into being able to do that more, in your tweet, you voiced some fears about a variety of things. So the first thing I want to touch on is some about sponsorship content. You said you were, given the nature of the fact that AdSense is pitiful, you're gonna have to get some more sponsorship content. What are your thoughts on that? What are your fears regarding to that?
have a massive amount of anxiety when it comes to putting sponsored stuff in a video. And it turns out it's a bunch of anxiety that only I have. Like, Raid Shadow Legends is a meme, right? Like, we only talk about it in the context of, oh, look, it's just like sponsored stuff. But yeah, so putting that in a video on the Canipa effects felt like I wasn't going to be taken seriously anymore. That like it would get mass dislikes or whatever. But people just understand, and that's kind of weird. Because, I mean, I watch videos that have sponsored content in it, and like a lot of the time I just scroll past it and it's fine. But for some reason I had this idea in the head that like everyone has like this really high image of me that I'd never take sponsorships. But
so you think you'd come across as somehow being influenced, or the content quality would degrade?
well, I don't think whether I'd be. I think content quality is the thing I was more worried about, because I edit all my videos. I write, like, edits, record, like I do everything because I like to be in control of how everything's delivered, and it really screws with the pacing to like stick sponsored content in the middle of it.
No, yeah, for sure.
Although according to analytics, people just skip past it. So I feel like but for most people, the pacing still works. But yeah, it just feels weird to say things with my own voice that I'd normally be saying about anime, but like instead now saying about like mobile games.
Like, yeah. World of Tanks.
Yeah.
I love World of Tanks.
The
last thing you touch upon. Go ahead.
This might have been your question, but I'm also ethically very concerned with. This is gonna seem mean, but I just want to say I totally support every YouTuber's like right to take as much money from companies as possible. But I personally don't think it's okay to take money from an anime company or someone that invests in anime and then go on to critique anime. For me especially, because I critique the anime industry, I also need to do like the extra bit of research to find out that there hasn't been like working condition issues or like labor abuse at the companies that I'm doing sponsorships for, because then I would be a hypocrite. I haven't gotten the offer that Ubisoft has been sending around for Far Cry 6, but like I'm having to reckon with the fact that they could offer me thousands and thousands of dollars. They wouldn't, and I would morally have to say no to a really good bit of money.
So this is kind of going back to the fact that you are positioned more as a journalist rather than your standard AniTuber who just, talks about whatever. Here's a question to you. Would you take a Crunchyroll sponsorship, having made that video about how translator conditions are pretty bad over there?
You think Crunchyroll's going to talk to me?
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Crunchyroll will respond to my PR messages where I say, please answer these questions about like an article I'm working on. Okay, hypothetically, Crunchyroll wants to sponsor with me. No, I don't think it would be right, because I think it would be the ethical thing to henceforth from then, every time I talk about anything that is co-produced by Crunchyroll, have to put a little message at the bottom saying, previously Canipa has received money from Crunchyroll for a
That's really interesting. Yeah, I didn't actually think about that little wrinkle. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's something that like it's easier to justify to yourself if you're just going to do articles like say, oh, previously this person worked at something, but you put it at the bottom of the article and nobody reads it. But for video, am I going to stick it in the description? That's not really. I feel like when you put something in the description, you're intentionally burying it. I think ethically, especially with more corporate money coming into anime YouTube, and anime YouTube now being seen as kind of part of the marketing spread for some shows and manga and light novels and stuff, I feel like we should be disclosing when we've received money from companies.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And just to illuminate something from a kind of a smaller YouTuber perspective, my channel is not very big. I've got like 17K subs, I think.
That there is definitely a time when I would have said that's massive.
Yeah, see, again, it's relative, right? Like
Yeah.
I completely am grateful for all the people that watch my videos and that level of subscribership. But even back when I was even smaller than that, maybe about like 10 to 12, I still got plenty of, not plenty, but some sponsorship like emails. And I would often do this thing where I would reach out to different companies just because, like you don't know if you don't ask. And I've gotten screeners from mostly G Kids, but 11 Arts reached out to me. Like, if me as a smaller YouTuber is getting these screeners and getting these free tickets and opportunities or whatever, I can't imagine what the bigger people get.
Not much.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of weird. I didn't have a public email address until very recently. So, I got a public email address at the start of June. And then I got like this flood of new emails from like these sponsor companies. Like some people are like saying crypto and stuff. But then like it kind of stops. I don't do the outreach thing. I asked Arxis.
Do you have anything against it personally, or do
No,
you just?
I take a while to make videos, so I'm not really sure what I'd use the screener for. I also don't know how to approach things about sponsorships. Like, who do you even talk to about that?
You just
Like,
you just hit up like you just find the press email or whatever and be like, hey, I am big time YouTuber Canipa Effect. Hundreds of thousands of people watch my videos.
I am too English for that. This is going to sound both arrogant and pathetic. I have only ever pitched once. I got rejected, and I've never pitched again. So, like, in terms of articles. So, whenever I've done an article, it's been because another company, like ANN or like other sites, they've asked me.
Oh wow.
So, like, I'm not good at the going out there and saying like, "Hey, I'm a big deal. Give me this." I did apply for a press copy of Guilty Gear Strive because I wanted to talk about like the fact that they basically made an anime and stuck it on the disc. Even then, I just filled out a form. I didn't like send an introduction email saying like I'm a big deal or anything.
I mean, I completely get where you're coming from. You know, what's funny is that the
I mean, it's not a good place to be coming from. Like, it's a bad idea.
I do think that it is important to recognize that you do have that capability. Like, you can just like reach out. I remember working for our anime awards. We reached out to a bunch of industry, especially in the last year, and it was just like a flurry of like, whose email can we find? Whose Twitter DMs are open that we can send this like somewhat badly translated Japanese text to and try to get them to recognize us. And it's really funny. We actually got it. So we got a response back from Junichi Sato
yes.
when Precure won, and that was amazing.
That was cool.
In the same email where he says like, "Oh, thank you so much," he's like, "Also, like, you should go through other avenues, by the way. Don't just like randomly." And we let that bit out, but it was a really funny moment.
Oh, I've had that as well. Okay, I'm kind of exaggerating. When I do like interviews and stuff, like with ANN and things, I search out emails and stuff, and we do cold call people. There was this one. I mean, he was really grateful for it at the time, but Ufatable's digital chief, there's no direct email address to him. You'd have to go through like Aniplex or to the studio's contact page, which usually doesn't get you anywhere. But there was a website that did an interview with him back for like I can't remember if it was like Fate Zero or something. It was a while back. But what they did is they left his personal email. Basically, they just copy and pasted the email that he'd sent, and they left his email address at the top. And so I was like, what if? What if he still uses this email address? And so we cold called him and got an email back where it was like, "So, thank you for contacting me. I'm definitely interested in an interview. By the way, we're gonna have to talk. I'm gonna have to talk to like my company, Youpi,
Because where the hell did you get this?
yeah, and I want you to contact me through this email address, which is like his work email address. I mean, it worked out great in the end. So, like, I'm not sure you can get an interview with him anymore since like he's now a demon slayer, like director of photography. But yeah,
that's some S tier journalism right there.
I mean, it's not. I've talked to people like in Twitter DMs before, and like they haven't been happy about that.
Oh, right.
But for people like for you and me who like don't have that secret contact at Aniplex or Bandai Namco or Warner Brothers or one of the big companies, you kind of need to shoot your shot for these interviews, and sometimes that is randomly messaging someone in DMs or like on an email address that you found somewhere, and it works itself out by the end.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, people are pretty receptive.
Yeah, most of, like individual creators usually really happy to be interviewed, especially when it's like, for a foreign outlet. Like it makes it seem like a big deal.
Now, for the last part of your tweet, you mentioned how your content might actually have to change. You say that you don't have an excuse to put off videos that you wanted to make on things anymore, or that you have to be a little more view grabby, or you have to have positions to go viral. This has actually been talked about in other YouTubers, even really big YouTubers. Like the last one I remember is Derek from Veritasium. He made a video about how his video went viral, and he was talking about how he may have to play to the algorithm in the future, make slightly longer videos, do a little more attention-grabby titles. What are your thoughts on that?
It is, I think, the hardest thing to make videos about things that you're passionate about and feel like you've been rewarded for it. So, yeah, like, if I'm going to make several videos a month, then eventually, going back to sponsor companies don't evaluate the amount of money that they're going to give you based on your subscriber count. Your subscriber count is kind of meaningless to them. What they calculate it is how many views did you get on recent videos, and that's how they get the evaluation.
Mm-hmm. I've always thought that the subscriber count was more of a metric for like us, if anything, because it doesn't really mean anything.
It gets you a shiny plaque at some point, but yeah, like it's a nice number to see and to feel like to wake up, look at like Creator Studio on my phone and go, oh yeah,
number go up.
Yeah, it's nice, but in terms of like living, it's kind of pointless. Yeah, so to be able to get revenue from ads, I would have to make videos that I know would be popular. And I think the worst thing about YouTube is that it is easy as hell to make a popular video. You just need to sell your soul for it.
Mm-hmm.
Controversial title, something clicky, or about an immensely popular show. And it's massively depressing that I know I could make a viral video if I just lied about something. If I just said like something about SJWs or like some big controversy. Like all my Crunchyroll videos have done well. Why don't I make up something about Crunchyroll? Like,
there was a moment in time where that was like the case. Like Digimon made a video about Crunchyroll, and then Zarya followed suit, and then it's just but it's just kind of how it works now.
And those videos, I've always felt like a lot of Crunchyroll criticism has like been totally off the mark, but like I kind of felt myself dying a little inside when I made my exam video and Crunchyroll was in the title of it, and it was like, because who is gonna care? Like, because part of the story is that Crunchyroll funded it, and like, but the larger point of the video is that these large companies don't give a shit, and that they will fund impossible projects and then just expect that animators can like do it even if they don't have the experience or the resources. But Crunchyroll was only a part of that parcel, but they did market it as a Crunchyroll original, so I had that battle. But there's that deep down voice that like says, you know it's going to get more views with this title. It's kind of, it's like the
Yeah.
worst part of like YouTubing, the knowledge that you can get views if you lie about something or misrepresent your own
Or
content.
even it's just also just the fact that you have to change your content to something that you didn't want it to be, you know. Like my example is that the content of the video didn't change. So I made a video about so I made two different ReZero videos. So I knew ReZero was always going to do good. The first video was a kind of indulgent pick your waifu one, like, hey, this is why Amelia is better, but this is why Ram's better. Who's better? And that one did really good, you know, obviously, right? And I had made another video because for that video I wanted to have like a companion video that's more in line with my style of content. So it's like a more researched, it's comparing ReZero to Hamlet. Right?
Okay.
And when I first unleashed it,
That is a good
released
line.
it. When I first released it, it had a very boring title, and what I thought was maybe like a cool thumbnail. Like I had taken, so I took the rant he takes in episode 18 where he like yells at Rem and says he hates himself, whatever. And I like put all the words up and I like highlighted the part where he says he hates himself. I thought it was evocative, creative. And the title was really boring. It was like Subaru, Hamlet, and soliloquy or something. And obviously that video didn't do very well. It like went up to like maybe the average was like 6 out of 10 of the you know, the recent videos thing. And I was like, oh well, whatever, like that's just how it goes sometimes. But I recently revisited it like maybe 8 months to a year after, and I was like, you know, this thumbnail really isn't very good. Maybe I should change it, right? So I go ahead and change it. So it's now a picture of Subaru's face being all scrunched up like and the title is pretty clickbait. It's basically Subaru has no character.
Oh, that's a good one.
Exactly, right? But the thing is, he says that in the... So whenever I try to do clickbait, I never want to like actually outright lie. Like I try to represent what it is in the video and then you realize it as you're watching. But immediately views skyrocketed. Like if you look at the graph, there's like this like very obvious peak where it gets picked up by the YouTube algorithm and then shoots up. So it went from, after being at 2,000 views steadily for an entire year, it shoots up to like, it's at like 40K or something right now. Insane.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that like that YouTube. I didn't know that like you changing those things could actually. I thought like once you've released your video, it's out there and like changing anything will just tank it.
I know, that's crazy. I mean, that after seeing that, I went back and like I changed a couple of my older thumbnails and titles just to be like, hey, I wonder if, you know, like this could work. I do think it was a combination of just it being ReZero and it being like popular, so people are always searching for that kind of thing, you know.
But you also now didn't have Hamlet in the title. That's always going to help.
But the thing is, what's so funny is that even though all I did was change the title and thumbnail, like the video is still like this like quote unquote boring comparison of like a Shakespearean play and ReZero, but people still loved it and it's got plenty of comments and engagement. So I mean that really has changed my perspective on how to go about thumbnail creation and titles, even though I prefer to keep the boring title, you know.
Yeah, I like my boring thumbnails, but it is like it is that thing like I think I've said it before to people that like nobody actually cares about the video, they just care about the title and the comment section. Like I say that about articles as well. Like people will read the article then scroll all the way down to comment on it.
Oh, you're so right.
Yeah.
There's so many comments are just like it's very clear that they haven't seen the video, but they just wanted to talk about the subject. You know?
Yeah, I feel like the best talent for a writer these days is to be able to come up with a good title, because the content itself often isn't gonna matter when it comes to like clicks, which is what today is all about. Just getting as many clicks as possible. It's in terms of like thumbnails and titles, it's something I'm gonna try experimenting with a bit. I've got a video coming out, and it's about a topic that I've wanted to talk about for a very long time, which is compositing an anime. Like, it's like, I've talked about it in context of Ufotable, but I've always wanted to talk about it more generally and like how it kind of shapes the image we have of anime in the 2010s. But I'm titling it The Recipe for Modern Anime.
Ooh.
And it has it has like a really stupid before after thumbnail, which is unlike anything I've ever done. It took me 5 minutes to make. I hate it. But
I can already tell you that's a good one though. Like that's that's money.
I'm wondering I don't hate the title. I hate the thumbnail, but actually the thumbnail's alright. I'm wondering, is this the best way to deliver things that I'm really passionate about by obscuring the topic from the actual headline? I was gonna do a video about Studio Madhouse. I wanted to correct a bunch of things that I said in 26 about that in that Madhouse video that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, and I was gonna call it like Sunny Boy and the creative restoration of Studio Madhouse. But now nobody's watching Sunny Boy. So it's like, maybe do I just drop Sunny Boy from the title, but do I still talk about it in the video? Like,
yeah, that's really interesting dilemma to have.
Yeah. It's like, how much do you hide? In being a popular YouTuber, do you have to hide the things you're passionate about behind titles that other people care about?
You know, that was kind of, I don't know how much I want to mention this. That was kind of Econ's perspective. I don't know if you know who Econ is.
I've heard the name.
He, one of Beatrice's, previously Teacher Bro's friend, like basically a critic, and he decided to start his own channel. And the philosophy behind it was that you quote unquote need your audience you need to have them eat their vegetables. So you need to like entice them with this provocative title, but the actual video itself is just like your regular content.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't know. I can kind of see the logic behind that.
Yeah, it's depressing. It's really depressing.
It's very depressing.
Like, it's like showing up to the Oscars with clickbait, and you're trying to tell everyone that it's an amazing film inside, but you've got this thing that like is gonna put off the people that you think would be the most engaged with the video. It's gonna like the people who are really interested in the topic, people who want to hear me talk about Sunny Boy and compositing, and they don't quite know that that's what I'm going to talk about because I stuck it behind this title that like the numbers would like.
And see, that's when you kind of have to rely on the trust that you have in your like dedicated audience that they'll show up anyway. They'll be like, oh, I know Canipa. This video is probably going to be good regardless. So might as well watch.
Like, I've got a lot of hope that the people who watch my channel will stick around. I don't say anything like ring that bell or anything like that. And I know that things don't make it to people's subscriber feeds. So YouTube is a massive pain in the ass to work with.
Yeah. All right. On that good note, let's switch it up a bit. And feel free to tell me if you'd rather not talk about this. But some might not know that you're engaged to Kim Morrissey, or maybe more recognizable as Frogkun. Really great on Twitter. One of the best people to follow on any Twitter. Well-known ANN contributor, translator, did Mari Okada's biography. How is? I imagine that's a really great resource just to like have around, right? What do you think about that?
I mean, referring to my fiance as a resource is, I mean, it's not wrong. I live with someone who is more talented than I am in every single way.
Aww.
Except video editing. And I think I can do and I think maybe I can do more clickbait titles. But yes, she helps a lot with researching stuff. There's a lot of things that I have to ask about. There's a lot of topics. Like, I am one person and I have very specific interests, but she has done a lot more research and covered a lot more topics than I have. So I made a video on FGO Babylonia, and she did 100% of the research for that. I just wrote the script.
Oh, wow.
It was a month where I didn't know what to cover, and she was like, cover Babylonia, and I'm like, oh, I don't really know how, and she's like, I've done all this research. She just like sent me a bunch of links. Some of those she'd written herself. So
oh, that's relationship goals. You got your primary sources just sitting next to you, or secondary, I suppose.
Yeah, I've been like asking her to write more stuff for me. Like, can you just write a whole video for me?
How did you guys meet? Like I feel like you're two pretty prominent people in the space, and it just seems crazy that you would end up together.
Um, I mean, I asked her to translate an interview for Crunchyroll with Kazuki Higashiji, the art director behind a bunch of PA Works shows. That's when I was like, really wanted to create a load of stuff about PA Works. Yeah, and then we got talking after that, and then we met at Madfest, which is a anime convention in Melbourne. Yeah, and then she got a job in Tokyo, and I followed.
That's really sweet.
It's so funny because a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, you're so talented! You did like all these videos, and now you live in Tokyo. Like that's amazing." I'm like, I followed my fiance to Tokyo. Like, I'm just following along.
That is a question on my sheet. The question is very
Like, why are you here?
very. It's like, oh, why'd you go to Tokyo? Is it because you wanted to up your game and have more opportunity to reach out to? Oh no, I just
Yeah.
I just wanted to be with my fiance.
That's the cool answer, isn't it? To say like, oh, I wanted to. Okay, there is a cool element to that in that, yes, opportunities opened up. I have visited several anime studios. I don't really talk about it because I feel like it's weird to talk about it. It's a weird thing to brag about. I was inside an anime studio. Oh, what did you see? Sorry, I can't tell you. So that's the whole conversation. Like, I saw a show that is in development and hadn't been announced yet. It's like, oh, cool, what can you say? That is about it. That's probably a bit much, but like, yeah, there's nothing cool about going to an anime studio. Anime studios are often depressing places.
Oh, I can imagine.
Like, especially when it's a 2D anime studio. You got, like, everyone like dunks on 3D. 3D anime studios are where it's at. They've got like the water coolers, they've got the big offices, they've got proper air conditioning. Like, if you want to be an animator in Japan, learn 3D. It's the only way you're gonna get paid well and be in like a nice office.
All right. So on that note, I just had some last couple questions. Basically, being where you are now, I would say that you're a pretty successful YouTuber, and this is an interesting moment in your career. Do you have any advice for maybe those who are smaller or just starting out?
Oh, am I gonna have to? Yeah, I'm gonna have to be genuine and not a cynical bastard. I mean, it works for me. I'm not sure if it works for everyone else, but I think it's really important to. You need to get. It doesn't have to be a load of people, but you need to get some people to give a shit. You need to get some people to care about what you're doing. And personally, I think the best way to get people to care about what you're doing is to cover something that people care about, but in an entirely different way. I mean, I'm not going to say the Cartoon Cypher is the biggest channel out there, but I am going to say it's one of the best channels out there because it is hyper-focused on covering anime dubs. And it's like, who else does that? Like, and they, because of that, have a really dedicated audience. And even if a dedicated audience doesn't make you a load of money or make you into a huge superstar, I think it gives you a lot of self-esteem to know that there are people who care. Okay, video games. There is a channel called Adam McDermott who covers games through this series called Platinum Journey. And he clearly works in television, and he's clearly got a unique style of presenting, and he's got this idea where like he sits down and plays through a game and documents how to get a platinum trophy in like PlayStation games. And I kind of want to see people do more of that sort of thing. Not specifically getting a trophy or anything, but like different styles of content and covering different styles of things in different ways on YouTube.
No, you're fine. I mean, I totally get. So you basically,
Yeah.
Especially in this age of all this content, there's so much content. There's an endless amount of content you can watch. You have to somehow make your content stand out and be unique.
Yes.
And by finding a particular niche or space that you can operate within, that's how you're going to get your initial base. That's how you're going to get the people that stay with you for the length of your channel. And that's where you get opportunity, I think is what you're saying.
Yes. This is why I use scripts. I'm not good at talking like off the cuff.
No, you're fine.
But yeah, basically it's a really elaborate way of saying, if you're gonna do a review, maybe work on, like, do you really want a review? I think I started off with reviews, but I feel like when you start off with reviews, you're trying to do like the old video game things where like you go, okay, now I'm going to talk about story, now I'm going to talk about graphics, now I'm going to talk about gameplay. Like you split everything up. But I think it's worth going back and going, which bit do I actually care about? Did I enjoy talking about the sound of this anime? Like, was that something I was really interested in? Like, or did I just want to talk about the story? And what can I say about the story? What am I most interested in? And I think everyone's different, and everyone has a different way of loving anime. So find your way of loving anime and try and turn that into content, and then give it a clickbait title that misrepresents it entirely. There's the advice.
All right, that was very inspiring for a bit, and then just a little tiny bit of the cynicism creeped in towards the end.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
I mean, if you're dealing with YouTube, it's got to be there. It's ever present.
Or like, maybe have the genuine titles to begin with, and then make a clickbait later on.
Well, I think that's a good place to end it. I'm gonna steal something from Ezra Klein. This is the first time I'm implementing it, but would you mind giving me 2 videos, one by you, one not, that you would recommend that people watch? It can be anime or otherwise.
Okay. So,
in the past, you've said that you were most proud of your Project Ito video.
I have said that. I want to remake. Like, part of me wants to remake it, but I also have this this part of me that says you can't make videos when it's on a topic that's not relevant. Mm-hmm. And like, I made that sad. When I know it sucks because the Project Ito video has probably the best script that I've ever written for a video. But I made it 5 years ago. The sound quality is awful. The content of the script is good, but I think it could be delivered a bit better. Nowadays, I want to say the Gravity Rush video, but it's got a Raid Shadow Legends. Oh, okay, Pokemon Black and White. My video on Pokemon Black and White was so fun to do because it's about something that I really, really loved. And it also let me talk about pixel art. And I love pixel art so much. I think that the mid 2000s and early 2010s, when we thought that like pixel art was all dated and boring, I thought that sucked, and we tried to turn everything 3D, and it kind of didn't work. But now, like the late 2010s, we kind of remembered how good pixel art is, and now in the 2020s, we've got like the Pixel remaster for the Final Fantasy series. We've got Project Triangle Strategy, and I mean, it's a pessimistic video about Pokemon, but I think the video itself is about celebrating the best time in Pokemon's lifespan. And in terms of talking about someone else's video, which is a problem because I mostly watch cooking videos.
Hey, the cooking videos are great. Who's your favorite cooking YouTuber?
I watch Sorted Food and also Binging with Babish. I think everyone watches Binging with Babish, even if they don't usually watch cooking videos. And I think... Okay, there's this channel called People Make Games. It's run by someone who used to work for Eurogamer, and they made a video called How Game Publishers Buy Crunch Overseas. It's relevant for anime as well, because anime also relies a lot on like overworking people who work overseas. And it's about like how video games, as we know them, like AAA titles, cannot exist without overworking people in like Southeast Asia, parts of Europe, and it's a really interesting video that has a lot of really good sources, and not enough people have seen it.
All right, thank you so much for your wonderful recommendations and for the wonderful conversation.
Yeah.
And of course, thanks everyone for listening. If anything I said was wrong, I'm sorry. I must have stuttered. Goodbye, everyone.
See ya.